So Froggy lives on. He's fine, he's safe. He's hiding up underneath the lip of the toilet, so all's good. The python didn't get him. Welcome to episode 4 of my build of an expedition truck. In this episode, I pretty well complete the exterior of the habitation pod. All the fiberglass composite walls are up, and I'm starting to seal those in. So that's a pretty big milestone, really. So that's another wall panel finished now. That's I guess that's the driver's side one with a door in it. So just got to put I'm going to put a weave 300 gram fabric over this one because it seems to go over and give a better finish. Oh, so got through another week. I'm out here doing a bit on the weekend. Behind me there you see the door. I had a bit of a problem with the door. I think I may have forgotten to put some hardener in with the fairing compound I made, so it didn't go off, so I had to scrape that off. But you know, I can't remember not doing it, but perhaps I've forgotten that I can't remember, or perhaps I never remembered that I'd forgotten that I'd remembered. So I'm going to be working this weekend mainly on you'll see behind me there that I guess it's the driver's side wall, the opening for the door there. So I put one 450 gram chop strand on there, and I'm going to be I found on the door that it's basically surfboard glass. So I've got some 300 gram surfboard glass, and it seems to go around the corners very easy. So I'm doing it in one process now rather than taping the edges. I'll just drape the whole cloth over the whole thing and wet it out, and that's going to save, it's going to pretty well save 2 steps, I hope, in doing it. I'm just going to get set up because I find, as you do these things, you spend a bit of time doing them. As you do them, you sort of learn all these little tricks. It's like any trade you do. You've got a skill, you've got the basic skill set, but then you nuances and little tricks to make it work better for you, and that's where you start sort of getting a bit of speed going, a bit of quality going. It's the same with timber framing houses, which I've done a lot of. It seems clumsy at the start, and you're lugging things around, but you get a sort of a process, and you can see it in your brain before you start. And things just happen. You're doing things before you need them, and putting stuff in place and working out how to lift walls by yourself, and pretty soon you've got it all sort of happening. And it's obviously the same with fiberglass. I haven't done anything on this scale really before with fiberglass, but I think given time, I haven't got a lot of time, but anyway, given time, you can work it out pretty well and get things happening really quickly, I reckon. So Sunday morning. I'm here to do the final coat on the weave I'm putting on. We've got a bit of weather happening today. We've got cyclone, I guess Trevor, going down into the Gulf, so it's just past the coast, so we're getting a nice sort of drop of rain. On the other side, we've got cyclone Veronica coming into Port Hedland, so we're sort of sandwiched at the moment. So some fairly interesting weather, going from quite a dry, wet season to quite a wet season, all in the matter of 3 or 4 days. But it's just the way it goes up here. You can't speak too soon with a wet season. You think you might get a dry one. It's not raining. Then on the last month, it just pours down for the whole month. So that's the way it is. Anyway, let's get into it. So I've finished that now. And that was a hard slog with all the sort of cutting with the brushwork and heaps of rolling, because what the problem was, I had lots of little bubbles that came out. It wasn't getting up through the weave. It wasn't letting the air out very well. So obviously when I put it on top of the chopped strand, it soaks the resin up from underneath, and it works bloody brilliantly. But putting it onto a dry surface with putting the resin on top of it, it hasn't worked that well. But we're done. It's all good. I've got a few tiny little bubbles here and there, but if they're a little bit high, they'll sand out quickly and the filler will go over them. I won't change the structural integrity of the wall at all, so we're all good. So I might go home and have a bit of a lie down for a while, and I'll come back at dusk and cut the edges off while it's still sort of leathery. Okay, So if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know that I've played around with camera and motion control equipment a bit and building stuff, milling things up in aluminium and working to a couple of decimal points of a millimetre, really accurate stuff. Well, you'll be pleased to know that I'm carrying on this tradition. I've just made a camera holder for the time lapse on this phone. So most of these videos are done with the iPhone. I'll leave the Canons at home. So this new high-tech little device I've made is to hold the camera as well. It's a great step forward. So it's been a tough couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so. Been doing it a bit tough. I don't know what to say really, I've been a bit down. I should have gone and saw somebody, but I've self-medicated instead, so I'm feeling a bit better today because I've just bought a new toy. So what I've got here is a multi-function tool. I used to have one in the kitchen business for cutting skirting boards, and it was a really worthwhile little purchase. But this one now with the cordless battery and everything, I've made bought it for sanding. It should work really well, I hope. And it's got a little toolbox here, and that's the sanding attachment which goes on the end there, so I can get into really tight places. And driver's side now sanded out pretty nice. There's still a few little divots and things in it, places around the window and the doors, but I'll work on those, getting those out.
Here you go.
So that's it now for episode 4, and thanks for getting this far into it. I've just been pretty happy with the way it's gone. I've got it up complete. There are a few little problems that I'm not real happy with, but if I don't say them, then nobody will know them. So now I'm sort of starting to think about the inside and all the bits and pieces, and in the next episode I'll be fiberglassing those walls, interior sort of structural walls, and I'll explain the sort of thinking behind those the whole composite structure of this thing later in this next episode. And I look forward to seeing you again then. Thanks.